We've got breaking fan news. Yes, it's coming up. Greg Braggs did something extra special today, and there's some Colston Loveland talk that we're going to get into. CHGO Bears Podcast. We start it right now. Day away from the return of the great Adam Hogue. More importantly, probably though, is rookie training camp right around the corner. Colston Loveland making news. Me and Greg taking a Bears fan survey today like I've never done before. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast alongside my handy-dandy, trusty friend, Gregory P. Allen Braggs. Do you know what the P stands for today?
I don't know.
It stands for possible. You're about...
I feel like you just guessed that.
You're about potential. You're about everything that is good.
Is it possible or potential?
Well, it's a possibility. It's potential's underneath the thing. We've got just a lot to get to today, including as I look up and just see who's in the chat early. The great Crystal Simone with her first base hit last night. We've got we don't have footage of that, but we do have footage coming up here of another softball victory. Thank you to Kevin in the store. But Gregory, how are you? First of all, before I just dive into this Colston Loveland stuff, how are you feeling over there?
I'm doing great. And yes, shout out to Crystal, one of our most loyal diehards here at CHGO Sports. If you watched the show yesterday, Adam joined us for the second time here since his arrival to CHGO Sports. And obviously, Hogan Johns is less than a week away for its debut on this channel. And you can become a diehard with their introductory diehard special, limited edition, $36 for the year. You get a Hogan Johns t-shirt with that deal, or you can do the $59 for 1 year, and that includes a limited edition Hogan Johns branded Bills hat. So you got two different options. You go to allchgo.com/diehard. You can sign up now. Exclusive written content coming right to your doorstep. You're going to want this all the way through training camp and for this really exciting Bears season. Discounts on merchandise, a free shirt out the gate, as we mentioned, and discounts on our events like all our tailgates that are going to be going on for every home game this season. So can't wait to see all you guys out there.
I mean, if you're not rating Adam Johns after Bears games, seriously, what are you doing with your life as a Bears fan? Plus everything else he's going to do here. So obviously, shout out to Johnsy for making the big move, and shout out to all our diehards and our diehards to be. All right, so we head to Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm live with this article written by Aaron McMahon, who was on site. Headline, week before training camp, Bears Colston Loveland returns to Ann Arbor, which is always super nice. Go back to the old alma mater. And he writes, before his rookie season in the NFL gets ready to start, Colston Loveland had to return to the college town he started one last time. He was coming back for a youth football camp, the Flex Work Youth Football Camp at Father Gabriel Richard High School, which I'm sure is a sweet high school. He did one back in Gooding, Idaho as well, but he wanted to come back to Michigan. And then here's where it gets interesting. Loveland was an active participant in the 2-hour camp too, running, jumping, getting directly involved in one-on-one drills. He even tossed the football around some, though he did it with his left arm. He had the surgery and the repair and the reconstruct of his AC joint in his right shoulder in January. So, and then the quote from Loveland, quote, "It's been good. They haven't really been live bullets flying yet. We'll really know in camp once I get there, doing a lot more stuff." So here he's doing all these things.
Yep.
But he's not throwing with his right hand, with his right arm, which I get it. Maybe
he's just today he was at Lurie's Children's Hospital. Mike Berman from NBC was there to cover it, and he asked him again, and he said the shoulder is 100%. But when Berman asked if he'll be out on the field when camp begins, he said to be determined.
To be determined, right? They're going. So The Bears are going to be cautious, as they should be, with the 10th overall pick. You drafted a guy who had shoulder surgery, who missed 3 games last year, who you obviously think is going to fit perfectly into this offense. So asking you in the chat here and asking you, Greg, like, okay, let's just say that they're not super comfortable with him blocking yet, that they don't want that level of impact on his shoulder. And so they delay him until they really feel like, whatever, he's 100% healthy. And he misses a preseason game or 2, and now he's kind of racing to start the season. Does that in any way, shape, or form make you wonder, why did you pick the injured tight end?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not going to jump that far to the conclusion and start, firing off the alarms and freaking out. I mean, you posed the question before, like, well, what if he didn't make it to week 4? Like, what if he got put on the PUP list, right?
Yeah, what if he has a little bit of a setback in camp? Like, the shoulder's not 100% there. He takes it, and then he ends up missing the first 4 games of the year, something like that.
Like, I mean, you just try to continue to look at the big picture. We were talking about it on yesterday's show, as much as we want the immediate results, and certainly you should have the higher expectations with a win now roster and Ben Johnson coming in. But at the same time, this isn't about just year 1 of the Ben Johnson era. This is about the next 5 years, and Ryan Poles now being extended through 2029 here. So, if, like, worst case scenario, he got put on the PUP list, yeah, that's going to be really upsetting, because that's going to really hinder his development in his rookie season. To get up to speed at that point is going to be really, really hard, and then you're going to be really happy that Cole Kmet is on your team, right? So, but that's worst case scenario. What the more likely scenario is, you get about a week into camp, maybe a little longer, and then Colston Loveland finally puts on the pads. That's my expectation, but at this point, we really don't know.
We don't, and then just a reminder that Colston seems like the hardest working Colston of all time, coming out of Idaho, doing tons of stuff on the family farm, and just quite frankly, stuff that I would have never even considered doing in my life. Most of us haven't, but so I think just it's pretty obvious that he's coming from a very strong work ethic, who's going to want to be on the field. The Bears are going to have to protect the player from himself as they, ease him into being a full participant, I would assume, because he's going to want to be out there. But, like, I just look at this like, you made this draft pick knowing this, so you better have Loveland's long-term health in mind as you go through training camp more than anything else.
Yep.
You don't worry about Mark Carman, Greg Braggs, or anybody else, anywhere in Chicago media being like, this looks terrible, he's not on the field. That doesn't matter. Like, what matters is that when he does hit the field, is that he's 100%. Like, that's you made this choice because you love the talent. Bet on the talent long term. Don't worry about the early thing. Steven, you want to jump in on any thoughts on Loveland? Are you worried about this? Are you what's you're
I mean, I'm not worried, just because, it does take tight ends typically a little bit longer to get acclimated to NFL offenses. So I'm not going to be concerned yet. There's a recency bias with players like Brock Bowers and Sam Laporta, hitting the ground running. But those are anomalies, and we shouldn't be expecting that for Colston Loveland. So if he's a little slow out of the gates, I'm not worried about it. That just gives him more time to learn the playbook.
Well, and you do make a great point, though. One of the hardest positions to learn coming in as a first year. You've got a zillion responsibilities. The offense, I'm sure they're going to make it Caleb friendly, but they're not dumbing it down. So you've got a heavy load to A, just acclimate yourself to NFL football, and B, to acclimate yourself to the position. So he's going to need as many reps as he possibly can get. And,
sure. And
you got to balance his health. So it's a little you got to thread the needle here.
Yep, you absolutely do. But that is why earlier in this offseason, when I said what I loved about this draft is the depth that you have now on this team, that it really feels like we've never really had before. And it gives an opportunity for people to develop on a healthy scale, where you're not rushing these players, whether they're healthy or not. Luther Burden's also coming back. We'll see when he's ready to practice, hopefully right away, but we'll see. But none of these guys have the pressure to have to do these things right away. And I know our next topic kind of points to some of the contracts that Ryan Poles has put out. And that's the point, is some of these veterans that are ahead of these rookies that have come in, whether it's Colston, Loveland, Luther Burden, Zay Frazier, among others, Ozzie Trapillo even. There isn't necessarily an overabundance of pressure for them to produce right away. Maybe Ozzie's the top one there with the Braxton considerations.
Yeah, to also look at just Poles' draft history here. He literally drafted Karan Amagaji last year, and okay, no problem. We'll have a redshirt season for a 3rd-round pick. So I don't think they're looking for.
But that did hinder his development.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
It was a.
We'll find out this year how much it hindered.
It's on the table that was a complete wasted draft pick, because can he get through? Is he going to beat out for even just a swing tackle mode? Maybe that's what he'll step into if Ozzie steps all the way up and Braxton can't get healthy. Just I'll put on my doctor hat for a second here, everybody, because I know Colston. I'm capable of doing the show. I think I could be excellent. Kind of like Catch Me If You Can in an emergency room and just defer to the interns. But the recovery time for AC joint surgery, 4 to 6 months, according to Dr. Carman and the internet, and full recovery is 7 to 9 months. He had surgery in January. So if we're talking about full recovery, which is what you would think you would need for a tight end in the NFL ready to explode, let's just go on the high end, 9 months. That gets you from January right to September. So you're right on the line of when the season's starting.
Yep.
That he's fully recovered. Now, how do you get through he's not fully recovered period of time? There's got to be a ton of conversations going on with the trainers and whatnot.
Well, and we saw Music Mike here in the chat saying, I'm excited to see Shamar Turner. He might be the sneaky pick. But again, a guy that had some injury, history in college. So Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, they certainly took some swings here with 3 guys that, Shamar Turner seems recovered from his injuries from last year, but so there hasn't been any indication he won't be ready for camp. But at the same time, you have 3 guys with different injury concerns of different levels. So, that hopefully it all works out for the Bears, and we're certainly rooting for that. But at this point, you kind of have to have a wait-and-see approach.
And don't forget about Joel Wilson, Petoskey, Michigan. It's right up there where I go to tennis camp and lose to high schoolers. Had some tough loss to the Petoskey's. 25 years old, coming in here. Got shouted out at OTAs. I would just keep your eye on a little bit of a Joel Wilson here. But all right, let's get into some contract stuff with Poles. And Garrett Wilson signing a $130 million deal, 4 years.
Yep,
130 extension with your New York Jets.
$90 million guaranteed.
90 guaranteed.
Yep.
So he's getting a $13.75 million signing bonus, $20 million option bonus in his second year, 10 option bonus in his third year as teams continue to get more creative here. His rookie contract had 2 years remaining. He's now signed with the Jets through 2030. So that's how the Jets are doing it. And you like how this underlines some of the contracts the Bears have done.
Yeah, I absolutely do. We talked a little bit about this yesterday when we did our best and worst, top 5 best and worst moves that Ryan Poles has made so far in his tenure as a GM, now that he's gotten this contract extension. And with Garrett Wilson's new deal, he now becomes the 5th highest paid wide receiver in terms of AAV. And I was immediately well, how does that stack up against DJ Moore's contract? Well, guess what? Just like Jalen Johnson, if you look here on this list of team-friendly deals, which may be his best deal, you could argue the DJ Moore deal is right there with the best deal that Ryan Poles has made. Jalen Johnson, I'll put number 1 because to me he's one of the best corners in the league. He's the 12th highest paid corner with AAV consideration. DJ Moore, the 12th highest wide receiver paid AAV. And so Garrett Wilson immediately gets this deal. It's just, as time goes on, Cole Kmet's 7th highest AAV, TJ Edwards 3-year, $6.5 million. Kyler Gordon, he becomes the highest paid nickel, so that's certainly taken a big swing there. And then we talked yesterday about Andrew Billings, tied for 56 among defensive tackles. And I just think one thing that Ryan Poles has done really well is get ahead of the curve on these signings of guys that are doing it the right way, that prove it on the field and not waiting. I mean, Jalen's probably was the longest where there was a standoff there, but each of these contracts, as time goes on, shows more and more how it becomes a team-friendly deal for the Bears, and I think Ryan Poles deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, literally the only one that he didn't do was David Montgomery. That if we're going to go back in time, as you could have done that.
Well, they did try. They offered him a deal. And I believe the Vikings did as well. It's just he chose the Lions.
Right. Well, and if you look to that year, like David Montgomery, if the money is similar, did you want to stay with the Bears who are in a rip it down situation, or are you going to go to the Lions? You know,
you remember what that conversation was too, right? Like similar money. He's betting on Detroit over the Bears. That was offensive at the time.
Yep.
I think he perhaps got that one right. I'm sure he would have loved to have been a part of the 10
Well, and I'm sure he was like, hey, man, I put my blood, sweat, and tears, into this organization. We haven't done well. I expect to be paid more than what some other team, even if we're not talking about a lot of money here or there, but right. He wants the Bears to be the one that comes over the top.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, show me that you appreciated me. The Bears didn't do that.
But still, these contracts are proven out.
Look, overall, I mean, the Jalen thing was wonky, but they got it done. DJ, every single one of these signings, when they did, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, there was never like, that's crazy. Why would you do that? I mean, which is one of the things that I think that the Bears particularly like about Poles is that this is a rational, down the middle, solid, not spectacular yet. Hopefully he'll get there with the evaluation of players, but just like going to do reasonable things.
Eric Beauchamp in the chat says, Poles is doing the anti-Bengals and Cowboys and gets his guys signed early and saves money in the long term. I mean, one guy we left off this list is Montez Sweat, maybe because he had a down year last year, and it's hard to say, hey, this has been great value so far. We did, say yesterday that the Tremaine Edmonds deal probably isn't one of his better deals that he's made. It hasn't proven out here in terms of production. But Montez Sweat, if we had to look on the list, it'd be interesting to see where he ranks among defensive ends and what they've made. I know Stevens is going to probably try to find it before we take a break here. But, again, a guy, if he can bounce back and be the guy that, he was when he first got here. Last year was a down year for just about everybody on this team at this point. If he can have a bounce back year, I still think there's value you can get from that contract as well.
Yeah, Sweat, $24.5 million AAV. That's fourth in the league.
Fourth. So that'd be on the other side where you're like, okay, you took a big swing, and so far it hasn't been worth the value of what the contract actually is. So, for the most part, I think we can tip our cap to these deals that we listed. But again, with Tremaine Edmonds and Montez Sweat, it exactly has it. I think Ryan Poles would want more for bang for his buck for what he did with those guys.
And Carm Sweet Bippy, as per usual, making a great point. Nate Davis is one of the bad contracts in there, but his contract, it wasn't some killer deal. He wasn't, wasn't great, bad investment, but it didn't hamstring them too poorly. Yes.
And correction, it was ninth. My bad.
Ninth, not fourth. Thank you for the correction. Yeah. Where's Gary in the chat? We depend on you, Gary.
Yeah.
Ninth. So that's not as bad as fourth. I mean, but still, the point stands that I think we're expecting more production from him this year. I mean, pressures are important. Sacks just as important.
He's got to bounce back. He's from an injured year, and hopefully he will. The bottom line is that when you traded a high second-round pick to get Montez Sweat, you had to pay him, and that was sort of the speculation, if you remember, instantly at the time. Like, well, they're going to pay the guy. 5 seconds later, he was paid. So they had to pay him fair market value to get it done. And Montez was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll live the rest of it. I'll spend some time in Chicago. So when you make that deal, you got to pay the going rate. Bears did.
Well, and then the one move that we've laid to bed and had Bears fans literally ripping each other's throats out over last year. The biggest decision was to not pay Justin Fields. And obviously that made an easier decision because you had the number one pick with Caleb Williams, but it still was one of the toughest decisions he had to make at the time. I know you may not feel that way, but for a lot of Bears fans, it was that way because not just Justin Fields, singularly, but to add on, you can trade back and get this haul of picks. And instead of paying Justin Fields what the going rate for a quarterback market is, you end up taking Caleb Williams. And Justin Fields now is on his second team since their third team now with the Jets.
Yeah, and if we want to go back in time to some Carm brilliance, I was like, look, go to him and offer him. If you want to do the trade out and try to stack the roster and win with Justin, offer him a very team-friendly deal, which is, I said, $20 million a year. Do a 3-year, $20 million, give him $60 million. Like, dude, you're going to go into the ether here. You don't know if you're going to be starting, which, he got to start in Pittsburgh, but then once Russ was healthy, he didn't. Now he's a starter in New York. Is that a better place for him to market himself?
And guess what he got with the Jets?
$20 million.
2-year,
Nailed
$40
it.
million.
Right
$40
here.
million a year.
That's why you listen to this podcast.
$30 million guaranteed.
That's why you listen to this podcast.
But at the time, Justin wasn't going to take that. Maybe. I mean, that's speculation, but I'd be surprised if Justin would have taken that deal.
Maybe not. But it would have been and I'm not saying I would have gone down that road. But if you wanted to go down that road, that's how I was looking at it. Like, look, get your quarterback at a lot less money than everyone else is paying. Gives you freedom to invest everywhere else. And if you think you can win with him, not because of him, it's not the best bet I've ever heard. But
right. But in terms of decisions, there was no decision to be made. You had the number one pick. You're taking a quarterback.
Correct. The way things spun and they got lucky that Carolina was Carolina, it ended up with Justin being elsewhere. All right, good start to the show. Coming on back here, we had coach rankings that CBS Sports did, and it's just interesting how this thing lays out. So we will do that next, but first.
Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. That's right, I will not judge you, Carm. A place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. And if you're a pro, we've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added daily. They're all over the city, from the suburbs to the city, from Champaign all the way to Wrigleyville, right down the street from the Marquee. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders. For existing users, use the promo code CHGO50 for 50% off one Cresco Labs brand item.
There's a great one at Milwaukee and Deerfield Road. Thank you to the service there. Arena Club. Shout out to you looking to buy, sell, trade, or rip open a pack of cards. Arena Club is changing the hobby with their transparent slab packs, no-fee auctions. Listen, you got to check out the slab pack. If you are into this, you're going to love it. Rip a pack for as low as $25. Hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. The incentive is there. Every pack has grails that are at least 20 times the price of the pack. You're making a good investment. Arena Club, the most trusted name in the game. There is an event coming up, the 45th National Sports Collectors Convention. Stop by their booth. It's going on July 30th to August 3rd if you want to learn more at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO. Use that code, CHGO. All right.
Hit the like button, folks.
Yeah, hit the like button. Help us out here. Come on, we're grinding for you. All you gotta do is just click that like button. Helps the show move around. Subscribing is sweet too. We're inching our way towards 90,000. So if you have not subscribed, CHGO Bears is here Monday through Friday at noon. Training camp will probably move some of those times around, but if we have to, and then of course pre and post and everything else, and then the rest of our coverage, Cubs and Bulls and Sox and Hawks and everything else we do here. So hit that subscribe button, tell a friend. And on my Metro ride in today, I was reading about the 2025 NFL head coach rankings from CBS Sports. Cody Benjamin knocking it down. And Tier 3, as they start, unproven or underwhelming. The old Tier 3ers. Worst coach in the league, according to CBS, Brian Callahan. Tennessee Titans, Dateline Dallas for 31, Brian Schottenheimer. Nice guy, don't think he can do anything. Brian Dable, not a first-year head coach. Used to be well thought of, not well thought of by CBS at 30.
A lot of Bears fans wanted him once upon a time.
Right. Kellen Moore, who everyone thought was going to end up in Dallas, now in New Orleans, not getting a lot of love yet at 29. I mean, when I say not a lot of love, it's just like these are unproven coaches. Aaron Glenn goes 28. Raheem Morris, not impressive in his first year in Atlanta, 27. We'll see if they can, with the quarterback change, their degree of difficulty not getting any easier. Liam Cohen, the Duval himself, 26. Jonathan Gannon, which I think is a little bit unfair, but there's not been a lot of winning in Arizona, so he goes 25. And then coming in at 24 is our guy, Ben Johnson. And they're right. After years as the NFL's hottest coaching candidate, lending all kinds of aggressive play calling to the rival Lions turnaround, Johnson has the pieces to do something meaningful in Chi-Town. The key will be tapping into Caleb Williams' gifts, while also keeping the gunslinger in check, which is a balance previous regimes couldn't manage with their own quarterback projects, i.e. Justin, i.e. Mitch, i.e. back in time. So, Gregory, instant reaction to 24, behind Dave Canales and the Panthers at 23, and Shane Steichen of the Colts. Those are immediately in front of him.
I mean, it's kind of been one of my mottos, and themes through the offseason. When we talked about where they ranked the skill players, and everybody was mad about that. And it feels like every one of these rankings that comes out, whether it's CBS or PFF or ESPN or whatever, is just the goal is to trigger Bears fans, which isn't that hard to do.
I don't know if that's the goal, but
it feels like it to Bears fans, I guess, is in our narcissistic way of looking at when they put these out there.
It's all about you. Again, it's all about
us.
Well,
even the book by Seth Wickersham, it wasn't just about Caleb, but who was the ones that freaked out the most is Bears fans.
Fair
so
enough.
It's just, this is the low-hanging fruit, is to get the rise out of us. But so I don't really have that big of an issue with it. He hasn't proven anything yet. He is one of the top offensive coordinators the last few years, and his resume of production, for what the Lions have done speak for itself, but he's not coaching the Lions anymore. He's coaching the Bears. And how is that going to all fit here? He's not Matt Nagy. When people go, oh, Matt Nagy was top OC candidate and he came to the Bears, and look how that worked out. Well, Mitch isn't Caleb, and or Caleb isn't Mitch, and Ben isn't Matt. Doesn't work that way. Ben's had a lot more experience as a play caller than Matt Nagy. But at the same time, that being said, he still has to prove it. So do I have a huge issue with it? No. Am I looking forward to training camp beginning where we can stop talking about these rankings? Yes.
Yeah, well, it's coming. To Bo Chan's question, always a good one. Yes, he was the highest rated first-year head coach on the list. And he was ahead of, a couple of guys Jonathan Gannon, I'd take that guy as my head coach. I think Jonathan Gannon, in the right situation, is going to win a lot of football games. He's also, Raheem Morris has been coaching. Brian Dable's been coaching. So he's ahead of guys who've been doing it. In 32 on the list is Brian Callahan. So if you're looking at just pure wins, Brian Callahan's got more wins than Ben does. But it was a disaster in Tennessee last year, especially at the quarterback situation. So that's, but I'm looking at this list. I'd take a lot of these guys to be my head coach. And I wouldn't have said that. Like, the Bears have historically had somebody. I don't want Matt Eberflus as my head coach. I don't want him on that list. But like, if you look at 20 on up, Mike McDaniel, Todd Bowles, Zach Taylor, Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel is 16. So that's to me, that's one interesting number on there because Vrabel's back in and the Bears were considering him. He's obviously ranked a lot higher because of his time in Tennessee, but I think Dan Quinn at 14, swing and a miss there by the Bears. D'Amico Ryans is 15. Kevin Stefanski, who's had nothing in Cleveland to work with, is 13. And then the top 12, what they listed, the cream of the crop: Sean McDermott, Sean Payton, Mike Tomlin. Kevin O'Connell is 9. This is where it gets interesting from a Bears perspective as well. O'Connell is 9. Matt LaFleur is 8. So they put LaFleur ahead of O'Connell. I think most Bears fans would take O'Connell over LaFleur. Kyle Shanahan is 7. Jim Harbaugh, remember him? 6. 5 is Dan Campbell. And then the rest of them, Sirianni 4, John Harbaugh 3, Sean McVay 2, and they put Andy Reid 1. I mean, there's just a lot of freaking good coaches in the NFL, man.
Well, it's interesting, too, because Like, I'm a big Dan Campbell guy. He's, like a spirit animal of mine, right? Like, you'd love to have.
You are the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, I would love that kind of guy as our head coach. But he just lost 2 coordinators, that are now head coaches. They're trying to prove Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. So how good of a head coach are you really? Because that's a lot to lose in one offseason, never mind the personnel and some of the offensive line changes they're going to make in Detroit.
Position coaches, too.
What?
You lost position coaches, too.
Antoine Randall is assistant head coach here in Chicago. So that's going to be really tested, Dan Campbell. But if you watch that, you talked about it yesterday on quarterback, just the presence he has, and to me, I think they'll be all right, especially with the talent they have on the team. But I do take issue with Matt LaFleur being ahead of Kevin O'Connell. That's not correct to me. And honestly, Matt LaFleur doesn't really belong in the top 10, in my opinion.
Why not?
Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl, right?
Okay.
So, are we just going off of last year, or are we going off of resumes here? I mean, Pete Carroll's in the 20s, you said?
17.
How many Super Bowls has he won? How
He's
many
also
different organizations? I understand his age. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about going into next year? Are we talking about who they've been just last year? Or are we talking about the overall resumes that these guys have?
I mean, overall resume is how they.
Well, then Pete Carroll shouldn't be in the 20s.
Yeah. Well, but if you were to rank who you want right now.
17? Okay, I'm sorry. I thought he was in the 20s.
Well, regardless, 17's close enough to 20. Even in your math, I'll let that pass. They write. I mean, for Pete Carroll, it's just the way they sum up these guys. It's interesting. It's just and Pete, on one hand, he's 73 and 6 years removed from leading a playoff win. On the other hand, he's a proven culture builder and big game veteran, guiding 10 postseason bids in 14 years atop the Seahawks.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, which is
it's
why
like the Joe Tooney of coaches.
Which is why when it was. When the coaching search was going down, and I think most Bears fans were not overly confident that Ben was going to choose here. Ultimately, he did. But if they didn't get Ben, I was like, I'll take 73-year-old Pete Carroll to finally bring somebody in here who knows how to run an organization and would be the culture changer that we were, that the Bears are looking for. Steven, do you have something? I saw you leaning forward.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, Pete Carroll, he should be higher. He's won Super Bowls, He's shown that he could take offenses and take them to the next level. Like Russell Wilson was, he was an underdrafted guy, and he turns him into a superstar quarterback.
Well, you talk about going back to Kevin O'Connell, which I think is probably maybe the worst one, arguably, on this list. To be number 9, Dirty Dog mentions it in the chat. He was coach of the year last year. He made Sam Darnold an MVP candidate.
It's a hell of a job, but Matt LaFleur, look, 7 years with the Packers, they go to the playoffs almost every season, and he transitioned from Aaron to Jordan, and they went right to the playoffs. People did not think that was going to happen.
Yep, and he wanted it to happen.
Yeah, so
he wanted to. Have somebody that would actually run his offense.
And I mean, I get it. He had Aaron, but the dude's 67 and 33. It's not, we're not. I mean, and Kevin O'Connell, as great as he's been, he's 0-2 in the playoffs. So look, but the bottom line is that they're both in the top 10, and Dan, pure leader, is in. So you have 3 of the top 10 coaches on this ranking are in the top 10. I mean, we could put in the chat maybe if you could have any coach in the NFC North right now, who would you take? You got to have any coach, and I know we're going to be biased towards Ben
Johnson,
but there it is. Would you?
We did this last year with Caleb Williams. I had Jim Richels pulling up receipts from me last year when we were talking about what quarterbacks would you take over Caleb Williams going forward, and of course, Honey Bear.
Yeah,
made a fool of himself again. just Patrick Mahomes. That's it. Everybody else, I'd take Caleb Williams going forward.
Number 2.
So there's a projection of would I take over Ben Johnson? No one.
There you
Jim Richels. And you can clip this, and a year from now, you can tweet it at me and then stick it. That's what you can do with all of it.
There you go. At any rate, it's just at least the Bears are in the conversation, because if it was Matt Eberflus, even Honey Bear would be like, I'll take Dan Campbell.
Oh, I love Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah. All right. We did some fan stuff before the show today. The Bears have a survey about the new stadium. Ton of interesting stuff in it. So we'll touch on that next. But first,
this is an ad by BetterHelp, and yes, I work with Mark Carman, so I certainly need some help. And workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress.
You're welcome.
We certainly deal with levels of stress here, trying to give you the best Bears content in all the land. So to battle that stress, most of us can't wave goodbye to work, but we can start small with a focus on wellness, and that's what BetterHelp does. A holiday is great, but it isn't a long-term solution for stress. Don't forget that therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or any day or night can bring, and that's what BetterHelp does for you. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/CHGO. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/CHGO.
They do great work over there. I highly recommend it. I also highly recommend not paying full price on your property taxes, and you can do that with our friends at Ownwell. Listen, if you live in Cook County and you think you're overpaying, you probably are. What you want to do is get with our friends at Ownwell, and look, you're not going to pay anything unless they lower your fee. Ownwell has a 25% contingent fee, meaning you only pay if your property taxes are reduced. So put your property tax money back in your pocket in just minutes. 86% of Ownwell customers do receive a deduction. So save on your Cook County property taxes with Ownwell. You can sign up in less than 3 minutes. Start your appeal today at ownwell.com/cook. That's OWNWELL.com/cook. Listen to me. You'll be happy you do. Thanks to our friends at Ownwell. All right, Gregory, this is the moment in time that I've been waiting for ever since I walked in here today, and you said, sit down right next to me and let's do this survey together, which was really, I think it's the closest we've ever sat. It was really nice.
In a meeting, for sure.
Yes.
Yes. I actually saved this for you because this survey came out last week.
Oh, so nice of you.
It could have been a segment at some point last week, and I was like, no, we're gonna save it for our stadium, guy. This is your wheelhouse.
Well, it was hard for me because all I wanted to say was like, look, leave the stadium in Chicago, make it and quit charging everybody $28 for a beer, and let's get some easier access points, and let's do the best you possibly can to get people in and out of that.
Don't screw it up.
Yeah, of the new one.
Keep it in Chicago, don't screw it up is Mark's contention.
Right, but just gotta live in reality. We're headed out to Arlington Heights, and here comes the survey. So how do you want to go through this?
Well, I guess I would ask you, just from after we did the 25-minute survey, what was your overall reaction to it?
Well, the Bears clearly are thinking about everything, from creature comforts in the new stadium to just one of the questions in there was like, outside of price, what else matters to you? Because I guess everybody's whole thing is that, hey man, I like to spend less on tickets. And so it seems to me that they are very much on creating a premium sporting experience for those who can afford it. There's going to be lots of cushiony seats in premium locations with all sorts of abilities to hang around the stadium before the game, after the game, and just want to be there in general. So, I mean, my number one takeaway is that they're trying to make this place a draw even when the Bears aren't playing, because they're like, why would you come here on a Tuesday? There's one of the questions on there, basically. Would it be a Chicago Sports Hall of Fame? Would it be a Bears Hall of Fame? Would it be what would bring you out to spend whatever it's going to cost to eat and drink there on a non-Bears game day?
Right. And I think my biggest takeaway was, why are you sending this out right now? Like, you don't even have a shovel in the ground. And if you put this out, then that leads me to believe that an announcement on a shovel in the ground is actually going to occur. Because this whole process of talking about Arlington Heights, we were at the town hall where they showed all the different concept
renderings.
art and proposals, and it was extensive, right? It was in specific detail of road infrastructure and everything. I mean, they even showed the canoes on the little river that they were going to build around the stadium.
Pre-Kevin Warren, yes, all this happened.
Was that pre-Kevin
That was
Warren?
pre-Kev-
That was pre-Kevin Warren. That's
Yeah.
right. So now you get to this point, and they're sending this out. We still don't have a shovel in the dirt. So I'm just, I do get so exhausted by this teasing that we constantly get. But we, went through this exercise and wanted to see what the survey looked like for ourselves. We kept hearing about it. We've seen a few pictures online that we'll share with you guys here and kind of take you through some of the things that we saw and some of the thoughts we have on them.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into the offerings. Season ticket offerings. You want to do that first here?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we can run through this fairly quickly, but just to give for those of you that didn't get the email
and are watching live on YouTube. These were some of the graphics and explanations. They had the luxury suite explanations, and each one of these, from luxury suites, small group seating, premium reserve seating, club seating, reserve seating, all the way across, kind of shows you where each of these locations are going to be. So it's kind of like a hybrid of, to me, I think what their idea of this is going to be is a hybrid of kind of if you've gone to the Indianapolis Colts Stadium and maybe somewhat more so of what you've seen with the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, I think is their goal here. Yeah, and well, it looks a lot, obviously, like Allegiant Stadium, and because I think we're going to have a very spitting image of what went on in Las Vegas is what it feels like.
Yeah.
My biggest, Kevin, if you're watching today, anybody else up there, I think I can speak for all Bears fans here. For me, the number one most important thing outside of just the basics of, like, I got to be able to get in and get out and get to my seat, and I want a bathroom close to me, and like, sure, I'm not going to buy the food because I'm Fred Carman's son, and I'm not paying $48 for a beer and $16 for a hot dog. But sure, having food close by is all that, yes. But to me, in a new stadium that sparkles, you still can get an old school feel if you build it so it feels like the seats are right on top of the action. You don't want – the worst thing about Old Soldier Field before the renovated one is that it just went back, and you never really could get just a dynamic on top of you feeling home field advantage.
You want the seats to cantilever over.
Yeah.
That's the one thing everybody, does it. Everybody has their opinions on Soldier Field and what they don't like about it. But I've always said, if you go to the upper tank, the 400 level, and the lowest seats, they literally hang over the field.
Right.
Like you are almost directly above the sidelines. That's how much they hang over.
Which is why whenever I tell anybody going to a Bears game now, I'm like, the 400 level, if you're looking to not spend premium dollars, if you are on the lower 15 rows of the 400 level and you're in between the 20s, that's a great seat. That is a phenomenal seat for football, and you're right on top of it. Like, you don't, sure, if you've got the disposable cash to sit in the 300 level and be right down there, that's awesome. Or if you're Crystal, who wants to sit low down in the 100 level and pay that money every week, I mean, great. But that's what I would want for Bears fans. If you are the standard person who's not corporate, who's going out there and it's you're making a significant entertainment investment to be a season ticket holder or even to go out for 1 week, like, that seat feels like you are on top of it and you feel value there. That's what I would want.
Right, because like you look at a stadium like the Seahawks Stadium, for instance, where they call it the 12th man, and how many false starts do they get because of the architecture of how they put that stadium together. Like, those are things from a competitive advantage standpoint that you do have to try to keep in mind, because I went to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium the first year it was built. The Bears played there. Went down with my good friend Brad Hesse, and we, the Bears ended up winning that game. And my biggest takeaway when we went was it was so cavernous that when the crowd went crazy, it didn't, like, it almost felt stifled because of just how big this place was. Like, it didn't have the roar of the crowd didn't feel as strong to me.
Yeah, and That's what you want. If I'm paying money to be there, I want to feel like I'm in something that is so damn ass unique. The greatest stadium field, whatever, that has ever existed in this town, hands down, without question, was Chicago Stadium. That place, the second you walked in there, I mean, I get it, things have to be bigger now, but when you walked through the gates at Chicago Stadium, 10 steps next, you were in the box seats. It was like and then that thing went straight up. So if you were in the last row of the second balcony, and my old hat's out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. Phenomenal seat for it used to be $6 to go to Bulls games in the early Jordan years up there. But you were right on top of it.
It was also like 40 cents for a gallon of gas.
It was like $1. It was a buck. It was a buck. And they walk around with beer. They had the beers poured into the cups. They were in these like wax paper cups that just the beer guys were.
Well, that's the other thing too. I know the Blackhawks guys talk about this too. Cup holders. They don't have cup holders at the United Center, and sometimes you like forget that. Like I honestly forget that when people bring it up. But yes, we need cup holders in the new Bears Stadium as well. We do have a few pictures of some concept art that after we take a quick time out.
And there's breaking Trey Smith news, which if you're paying attention to the chat, you already see.
Gary already broke it.
Yeah.
So we have concept art to get to, and then they asked at the end of this survey, give us your suggestions on what you want specifically as a Bears fan, and I gave that to them, and I tried to speak from my fan heart, so we'll share that with you here in a second.
But first, it's hot out there. You need air conditioning because otherwise things can get a little stinky over there. Hey,
got to cool off this hotness here.
You do, and you want to do it with our friends at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. They've been serving the Chicagoland area for over 50 years, and they're just simply the best. The expert technicians who always going to give you that reliable service that you can count on. Schedule your Four Seasons AC tune-up today. You can save $50 and enjoy a 1-year no-breakdown guarantee. Can't do better than that. You can save up to $4,000 on new comfort systems with Four Seasons new AC units from $39 a month. That's a sweet deal. Also, the AC furnace combos, $57 a month. One-stop shop here. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com.
That's right. I want to give a shout-out to our good friend, Ray Scarpelli, and the good fine people at Ray Auto Chevy. Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake is firing off fireworks with big savings all month long. Come in today to shop with freedom to save sales event and drive home with $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000, just like Mark Carman once did, and as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest.
Tracks.
That's right. They're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you're getting a great deal. Plus, Ray's Price Promise lets you shop confidently because the price you see is the price you pay. Go see for yourself. Visit our partner at the convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake, and don't miss out on their Freedom Save Sales event going on all month long for $10,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or at raychevrolet.com.
Tracks. Beautiful ride in the tracks today to the Metro. When I get back home and get in that tracks, it's a beautiful thing. All right. Shout out to Ray. And Ray Chevy. Mm-hmm. And to you, Gregory. Let's see if Greg did a good job speaking for Bears fans today when you were asked what Bears fans, what you really want. Yes.
Yeah, well, before we get to it, because I want to kind of get it to well, that's how I want to end this. So
okay.
We will get there, but I just want to share the renderings here just so people kind of see. These were this is all concept rendering. This is not set in stone of what it's going to look like. Gary mentioned, and you said it too, like a little bit of Allegiant Stadium vibes to what they're trying to do here with the clubs seating at the bottom and the VIP stuff. You see the TVs
Well, that looks a little bit like London too.
Yeah, a little bit. I said that to Carm, too. There's a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium vibe to this as well. There's the executive suite concept rendering. So I think a visualization, here's the sideline club. Ooh. They've got a 1920 club that they're going to be doing as well. Those are for premium seating, and then you get to go in there. It's kind of like the Cadillac Club that they've been doing at Soldier Field, and some of your opportunity to go to those kind of spots. So
it's going to be rich.
I think that's where they're looking at some of this stuff, but this is where I wanted to take it before I give you my overall summary that I sent to the Bears on what we want as Bears fans, is this VIP tailgating. And they basically were asking, would you be interested in VIP tailgating, a VIP pregame hospitality area?
No.
Located conveniently outside the venue, with premium space, with premium food and dining and drinking, a variety of seating options for socializing, hand-carved meats, oven-fried pizza, a fully stocked bar with signature cocktails, basically, like a suite for tailgating.
Are you interested in paying a ton of money to be right there to tailgate?
And what's irritating, it's not, I don't want to say irritating, because I understand that there's different mouths to feed when you go to a game. There's people in the suites, there's people in Cadillac Club, and then there's the peasants that are in the 400 level, walking 500 steps to get to the very top because they bought the cheapest seat in the house, which I've done many times, and the people at the top are always screaming the loudest. But that's where, through this whole survey, it's a somewhat tone deaf. How about we take care of the Bears fans, the real Bears fans first? And we're talking about VIP tailgating. Nobody, the rich of the rich are going to buy this. And those people are so rich that you don't have to ask them if they're going to buy it. They're just going to buy it because they have that much money. They don't think about these things. They just get them, even if they're not actually worth the price that they're paying for.
Right. Well, listen. It should really be called corporate tailgating.
Right.
Corporations, are you interested in this? And the answer is going to be yes. And look, if I'm the Bears, I would have this too, and I would charge a pretty penny for it, and I would suck all the dollars that I could possibly take from
the rich folk.
Yes,
but how about asking, hey, regular Joe Bears fan,
that would be cool. That would be cool. I'm sorry. That would be cool. Hey, for those of you who are not corporate, would you be interested in a
bingo
real Bears fan tailgate?
Exactly. Because that's where this is going. I already have a feeling, because they asked at one point in this survey, are you going to tailgate in the stadium area or outside of the stadium area? So they already know that Bears fans do this because they do this at Soldier Field. And we do this at the corner of Wabash and Cermak. That's not on stadium grounds. You're not in South Lot or at the Waldron deck. A lot of Bears fans have to find their own parking. South Lot can be a very expensive place to park. So this is where it's going. You hit the nail on the head. How about asking the average Bears fan, if we charge this much for a tailgating area, because that's the other thing, there's certain parts of a tailgate area that you're not going to be able to fit everything that you want. There's people that have decked out ambulances and trailers and trucks with, they have their own hand carved meats that they've been, making overnight at their own home. Are you going to allow those things for those Bears fans that have been doing these traditions for 40, 50 years? Worry about the VIP tailgating people later, and let's take care of the Bears fans that have been through the good, the bad, and the ugly for decades here.
Well, look, how many acres is it in Arlington? It's 326 or whatever it is. Look, you could have, I would be asking the question if I was the Bears, what would you pay to watch the game here with a tailgate that is, not the premium meats and the charcuterie, but has hot dogs, burgers, chicken sandwiches, and
live music
and some chips.
Right.
Might be a veggie tray in there.
Family friendly.
Yeah, family friendly. The game's on the big screen. We've got whoever they're in bed with, Miller Lite wise or Budweiser, whatever it is. Sam Adams, 312, all of that. Just have that as a separate thing. You're about making as much money as you could possibly make.
So I certainly have a lot of thoughts with keeping the traditions alive for Chicago Bears fans, the fans that have stuck through this with a lot of losing seasons, and I'll get to some of my final points of what I said to the Bears. And just overall, this whole survey was, are you interested in the VIP tailgating? Are you interested in the club seating, in the premium seating? So I just feel like you're speaking to the 1%. There's a lot of season ticket holders that are currently they're sitting in the upper tank. They're not VIP season ticket holders. There's a lot of those people too. And then there's the non-season ticket holders who spend a lot of money to try to get their family afford a Bears games as well. And there wasn't that many questions directed at those people. So I understand the Bears, and a lot of their revenue depends on how many people are going to become season ticket holders, how many people are going to buy suites. And I'm not asking you to ignore those people, but I wanted to feel like the peasants were being considered as well, because we're also part of this machine too.
Well, and I'm just going to, the working class, all right?
I know, I say peasants tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I understand. I understand you do, but the reality is
I'm a peasant. That's what I'm saying.
This is the vast majority of the fans. And the Bears know this. But it would be interesting if they made that the priority of the stadium. But if you're the Bears, you look at the body of work. Well, when's the last time we won a Super Bowl? Oh, that was 1985. When's the last time we won a playoff game? Oh, that was 2011. When's the last time that we've had trouble selling tickets around here? Oh, that would be never.
Right.
Basically the worst thing that happens to us is that our fans sell all the tickets, including our owner, to the Detroit Lions, and the place turns silver and blue on a Sunday afternoon. That's like the low point. It ain't the fact that the seats are just always sold. So that's why they always keep going up. What was the rate? This year's raise was 10%, and so they've got you. We love the Bears, but even with that, if you're just going for high integrity, you're asking your fans to embrace a move out of the city. I understand that it's being pitched as Chicagoland, but it's a significant move, and I know a lot of Bears fans are super happy about it, but some people are not, man. A lot of Bears fans are not. They don't want you leaving the lakefront. How are you going to make this sort of digestible, hey, just so you feel like they're cared about? Because we're seeing a bunch of comments there. They don't care about the fans. They do, but they also care about making money, a lot as well.
Hand over fist, for sure. So the final question they asked was so what are your suggestions that you'd give to us? And so I'll read it here. I'll share it with you here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure I get my bifocals on for this one. But basically I said, don't make it corporate. Make it for the average fans, the fans that are the true Bears fans, not the ones with the most money. Don't leave out the traditions that make the fans that love this organization despite the long run of losing seasons. Don't make tailgating harder. Make it more inviting. Make concessions affordable. Make enough restrooms where fans don't have to worry about missing the game just to go to the bathroom. Make it feel like the fans are on top of the field, as Carr mentioned. There can't be a bad seat in the house no matter how high the seats are. Make the Wi-Fi strong so every internet works for everyone. Make enough entry and exit points where fans aren't waiting a lifetime to get in and out of the stadium.
When he threw in the Wi-Fi there, that's when they knew that this was you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's certainly a thing. I mean, I see the Atlanta Falcons there's a lot of stadiums that have kind of done this thing with cheap concessions and deals. We got to think about that. Getting into Soldier Field is an absolute nightmare. If you try to get in right before kickoff, you are missing kickoff. Going to the bathroom for a Bears game is impossible. You will miss an entire quarter trying to go to the bathroom. So there's so many things that I could point to.
That's on you. That's bad bathroom maintenance.
No, that is a real sit in the upper tank at the very top row and try to get your kids down to the bathroom and back before you miss 2 series of football.
Braggs is right. I got up to get a beer. I went to a preseason game, first Bears game I'd ever gone to.
Yeah.
I got up to get a beer. The lines for concessions were so far back that you can't get through it. When you finally get in line, you wait forever. You get your beer. You go back to your seat. You just missed a quarter. And I'm not exaggerating. Yeah. It was that bad.
Right.
And that was a preseason game.
So essentially here we're talking about the diehards. If we have any more thoughts on this, I know there's a lot of people here in the chat giving their thoughts as well. But before we get to the top of the hour, make sure you become a diehard at allchgo.com/diehard. We've been promoting, the intro offer here for the introductory special for Hogan Johns coming over to CHGO Sports with Adam Johns' arrival. It's going to be a lot of fun. They're starting their show up next Monday. You can get their deal to become a diehard for $36 a year. That includes a limited edition Hogan Johns t-shirt, or you can bump up and get the $59 for 1 year package, and that includes a limited edition Hogan Johns hat from Branded Bills. This is a special edition, a limited time offer. Get it now before training camp begins. Exclusive written content from Mark Carman, Adam Johns, Adam Hogue, Patrick Norton, and everybody else, and then discounts on merchandise and as events as well.
I am planning on doing some writing this training camp season, and I might write what Chim Richels it's his best Chim Richels moment, as he recommends that Bears fans wear a diaper to the game so they don't.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen in television history was my wife and I, we don't go out for New Year's Eve. We are way past that age, bracket to go out on New Year's Eve. It's just not worth it. So what we like to do is just sit at home and watch the New Year's Eve broadcast. Obviously we all loved the days of Mark G and Greco, killing that's
so adorable that's what you guys do.
That's what we do. A couple friends come over, we have drinks, and we switch to the different local New Year's Eve broadcasts and then the national ones. And so we were watching one of the national ones when Chim Richels talking about diapers, so I know this is kind of a roundabout way of coming back to that point. But this person was interviewing someone on this is where I'll tell you why. Yeah. Because this person was interviewing this person on Times Square. It gets loaded with people and they're right at the front and they're like, "How long have you been waiting here?" They're like, we've been here for 30 hours and we've been standing here. And they're like, "Well, how have you been standing here for 30 hours? How do you?" They're like, "We haven't slept. We haven't moved." They're like, "How do you go to the bathroom?" She's like, "We're wearing diapers." And the look on the reporter's face was like, "Okay, back to you," in the studio, and walked away.
That's amazing. I think you should. That reporter, phenomenal job, and should have gone one more question. There's about 10 follow-ups to that. How's that working out for you there? All right.
See, somebody in the chat said, "I know where Braggs is going," and yes, they do wear diapers at Times Square for New Year's Eve. Absolutely insane. And that is insane. I have waited in line a long time for some crazy things, but waiting in line or waiting to see the ball drop at New Year's Eve with a diaper on and soiling myself is not one of the things I would ever entertain doing.
That's why you listen to this program. Hit the like button as we creep into our little OT extravaganza. Hey, I was unable to be there last night for the big softball win as we got back on the winning track. But we were represented beautifully by Crystal, and so I figured that we would, and Crystal got her first base hit of the year. As she's just she bought her own bat. She's been out there dominating, and Audrey was stepping in to be our manager last night. So this was via the store, and my guy Kevin, Halstead and Armitage, open late, amazing. Here we go, softball victory video. First time that we're doing that on the show, but I wanted to honor these two because I was missed last night.
CHGO with another W tonight. Yes. Crystal with her first hit. Straight down the third base line. She got to first. It was awesome. Don't forget to go see our friends at the store.
Yes.
Anything else, Crystal?
That's it. Another dub.
Another dub.
See, just straight business. Another dub. There's not a whole lot to say.
First hit for Crystal. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Hard work pays off.
And look, she's been coming out there, and I've been working on this, but some of the guys on this team are a little overly competitive. Crystal, don't swing. Literally don't want her to swing because they want her to just get on base. And I'm sitting there every time she's up. Crystal, swing the bat. I don't swing away. and apparently swung away last night and put a couple balls in play and got a base hit. Yeah,
well done. Your leadership has led this team to 2 championships back to back. And now look at how this team is developing. If Ben Johnson can develop, players under his tutelage the way you have, then we are going to be on the right track.
We're trying to do it for Kevin in the store and everything that they've made possible here, sponsoring us. They got some sweet hats that we'll be wearing if I ever get to another game, which is coming up. So we're getting geared out here. It's as Carm Sweet Bippy said, it's great coaching by me. I've coached them up so well that I don't even have to show up. They just know what to do.
Well-oiled machine.
Thank you.
That's pretty good.
A ton of people have reached out to me, to give condolences. So I'm not going to go through all of that, but one of them that just stepped up last week out of nowhere in our Discord from the Diehards was Buffalo Butt. It was like I'm starting the day. It's I'm not really I'm in no mood. I don't even know where I am, and then I just look in the Discord, Buffalo condolences, Carmel, and then I got to write back to him, thank you, Buffalo Butt, and that is why I love the support that we get here on a daily basis around literally anything.
Got Carm Sweet Bippy in the chat, the Dirty Dog, then just people that are normal and just put their real name.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We love all the personalities in this chat, including Chim Richards and Don Burr, who most of the people in the chat hate, but we love because they always tune in.
We appreciate them.
And the day we are actually better than the Lions, then they're not going to, we're going to be making sure they know that in the chat. You got anything else?
Yeah, I got one other. I got one other shout out for Mauro Guerra. Hope you're still listening today. Some people came up and at the Shiva and were like and say, hey, my so and so listens to you, and this is a family extended. Mauro apparently a big fan of the show, so Mauro, I'm shouting you out. Appreciate your support here. Is apparently a big fan of CHGO, so back at you. Thank you. And I'm gonna get back to everybody individually that's hit me up on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot as I kind of go through the old process of everything here. But so I just wanted to say thank you to because it's meant a ton from all the corners that it's coming from.
Yep. Also wanted to give a shout out to everybody that stopped and said hi at the Windy City Smokeout on Friday. On Thursday we had a tent up, and people were able to come by and spin the wheel and win some different prizes, stickers. The fans were a big hit because it was hot out there. We even had shirts you could win and hats. We'll be there next year doing some more of that fun content at the Windy City Smokeout, where I somehow conjured our way into that so we could go to the event that I love going to every year, and now we can say we're working it, which is great. This is the life we live, and we're very lucky to here at CHGO Sports. Shout out to Lori for facilitating all that. Nico ran up, so I want to give Nico a shout out and said hi. Steve, I'll end with Steve. I want to give Ryan a shout out. Ryan has been working one of the booths. When you go to the Windy City Smokeout, it's not just for the music. There is amazing barbecue from all over the country. They bring a lot of stuff for barbecues from in Chicago there, but then there's also from Missouri and Arkansas and Texas and all over the country they come. And Ryan was working. I go in and get some brisket. And there's a guy working one of the grills, and he's a fan of the show. And he's like That's 7 awesome. Feet tall. He's this nice guy. He's like, Braggs. I was like, there it is. You just never know how far we reach. And I saw him throughout the weekend after that. And the last day of the cookout on Sunday, and this is why I got to give Ryan a big shout out. He hooked me and my family and friends up with a bunch of food from his cookout. And so we really appreciate Ryan. He's a good dude, and thank you for tuning in. Tommy, big Cubs fan and a big fan of CHGO Bears as well. So shout out to him. Bought him a shot, so that was fun. We took a shot. A lot of drinks were had. So shout out to all those guys. But then the final guy was Steve, who took a lot of time with me and Steven, who is a former intern at WGN.
Oh,
and he said, you're going to remember him, and he wanted you to tell the McDonald story about Steve, if you can remember, a certain intern who went to McDonald's.
That's a good story.
And he said he's a big fan of the show, and you would definitely remember this.
I believe we sent Steve to get ice cream cones. And so I had him get like 4 of them. And I guess it must have been a hot day or whatever. But he came back with these 4 cones. He's holding in his hands, and there's just fully melted and just nasty McDonald's ice cream all over his hands. And then I was like, oh, this is probably not the best assignment that I've ever given. But thank you so much for that melted cone. Now you can, I guess, go wash your hands. Something of that ilk.
The other half of the story he was telling Steven and I was that you guys were like talking about it on the air. You're like, we sent Steve to do this job. Where the hell is he?
Oh, yeah, and he got lost.
And he got lost because there was a McDonald's that apparently was right across the street, but he chose to go to the Rock and Roll McDonald's, which was blocks down the road.
That's true. Right, he didn't know about the one that was in the the McDonald's was literally right. It was in the the pedway there off of Michigan Avenue.
Right.
And he just didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
And so then he came back with these melted ice cream cones. That happened.
So shout out to Steve, and shout out to interns everywhere. They got to put up with people like Carm and me. We have some great interns working here. So shout out to them for all their hard work.
Devin. Apparently is forced to watch the show every day. It's
punishment. She must have done something wrong.
Devin is editing one of our What If shorts for me right now. So she's been a big help over here.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So, shout out to all of them, and shout out to everybody that said hi once again. Some different news I know we're going to get to tomorrow, but there's some Jordan Addison news. Potentially he's got a court hearing today that could potentially affect, depending on whether or not he gets in trouble for his transgressions, of affecting his availability potentially for the season and maybe even week 1. So we'll keep our eyes on that and monitor that situation. You mentioned Trey Smith just broke the record for most highest paid guard in NFL history.
Do we have actual numbers on that?
Gary does.
4 years, $92 million. $70 million guaranteed.
70 guaranteed. Everybody blamed us for going up to Trey and trying to get him to come to Chicago, and you all owe us an apology because we got you Joe Tooney. That's what happened. Wouldn't have happened without us.
And Trey owes us a thank you, too. I think we had a big, hand in his leverage play with the Chiefs. And he admitted as much when I met him at the March Madness tournament before Purdue lost to Houston, and my heart was broken into a million pieces. He was sitting there watching the Tennessee game right next to me, and he said he loved us, and he thanked us for everything we did.
That was another one of the Bears. That was another one of the Bears survey things. What other teams do you buy tickets to? And it has all the Chicago teams, which we clicked. And
Northwestern was included.
Northwestern got in there. Go Cats. We clicked on that. We clicked on Notre Dame was in there as well. I'm like, you buy tickets to Notre Dame, but apparently you do. And then
large Notre Dame contingent in Chicago.
Yeah, and then of course any others, and they'll know that it was us because Greg's had to write in the Purdue Boilermakers.
That's right. That's right.
I'm a season ticket holder to Purdue because I do a podcast. Brags at the stands there.
You want to talk about season ticket holder and it being worth it and your bang for your buck? It certainly is with Purdue. I know you're a season ticket holder with Northwestern.
Cats are a good buy for
Cats
basketball.
Are a good buy. College is typically good for that, but we want the Bears to be good for that as well. So
that'd be nice. Value back to the fan in pricing would be sweet. All right. Let's Adam Hogue returns tomorrow.
Oh, wait. We got super chats and a birthday shout out.
Oh, yeah, the birthday. The birthday.
Oh, my gosh. If you didn't wish this person
that would have been so on brand.
A happy birthday, the hellfire and brimstone you would have received.
Would have been bad. But not.
Yeah, Bear Down Omaha, $2 super chat says, thanks for the summer coverage. That's right. Adam Hogue returns tomorrow. But we appreciate every single one of you sticking with us throughout the summer and especially these last few weeks while me and Carm and Steven and Jake and everybody else helping us hold down the fort. Jerry Zuma, Lance Briggs continue to do a great job with everything we're doing. So shout out to all of them, and shout out to you guys as our training camp is upon us. And now, without further ado, Carm has a birthday shout out to give.
Shout out to the one and only Pizzatola.
Where's the harmonica for this one? I mean, geez.
Today is the 47th. Don't worry, I got something. Today is the 47th anniversary of the birth of Pizzatola. All I want is a silent Carm, but we all know that ain't happening. That is not happening, Pizzatola. And as we creep closer, it is 30 days until this guy gets a little vacation. 30 days until I head off to Camp Nebagamon for family camp for the fourth straight year, whatever it is. The Camp Nebagamon song on a birthday goes like this, Pizzatola. You ready, Braggs?
I'm ready.
Hanske leva, Hanske leva, Hanske leva, your Pizzatola.
Hogue, come on back. We're ready.
Pizzy, we love you, Pizzy, 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 we love you, Pizzy. Next tailgate, come and visit us. You're the one and only Pizzatola. Bye, Braggs. See you tomorrow. Happy birthday.